Hi, I'm Joe Campanale. I'm the Executive Beverage Director and Partner of dell'anima, L'Apicio and L'Apicio restaurants and Anfora wine bar. Wow, there's so many memorable moments at NYU. It's hard to choose just a few, but I really loved taking a class on New York City urban design and architecture with Mosette Broderick. It was taught like an art history class where we'd spend the first half of the class looking at slides, going over the history, but then the second half we would actually go into the city and explore a different neighborhood every week. And Mosette is such, not only an expert, but she's just such a thrilling and engaging speaker on the topic that she made it easy to get excited. And what I found so thrilling is I'm a native New Yorker, and just learning all about the city that I grew up in and live in and plan to spend the rest of my life in was exciting. How much of the history I had no idea about. So that was great. And then first time I took a food studies class, I was just blown away. I was like, whoa, you know, I mean, I can spend my time studying this? That's awesome. And the first class was just a beverages, wine and tasting class, but it opened up my mind to that whole field of food studies. And when I met Jennifer Berg, I was hooked. She's just, again, just someone who is completely invested in her topic and what she lives and loves, and is a really engaging teacher. And that changed my mind. And meeting her and taking a food studies class with her made me want to do the food studies master's program, which I did as well. I started in the food and beverage industry while I was at NYU. I was an RA and working full-time and taking class, and then my senior year I did quite a few master's credits. So I was working a bunch, and I actually started in the food industry way before I graduated. In fact, we planned the restaurant before I finished grad school. So I think I still had to write my thesis when our restaurant opened. And it was such a, you know, we were working more like 7 days a week. And so finding the time to actually finish the thesis was challenging. And there were times where I questioned if I was even going to, like, what's the point now? But I'm so happy I did. And yeah, and it's just been a very, very wonderful and useful thing for me. Yes, I can tell you all about it. In the Drink is my show on Heritage Radio Network. They have a great executive producer, Alex Moskowitz. She's brilliant. But it focuses on all of the different people who bring you really delicious things to drink, whether it's beverage directors or sommeliers, brewers, distillers, winemakers, bartenders, all sorts of people. Even wine journalists. We're having Eric Asimov on the show from the New York Times. More than anything else, it's just been a fun way for me to connect with some really great people in the industry. There's a ton of great wine shops in the city. You know, Tribeca is a really good hub for wine shops. I don't know why, but there's Ledoux's wines. Jean-Luc Ledoux, who was a sommelier at Daniel Boulud's restaurants, and his wine's great. When you walk in, it doesn't matter if it's the middle of the summer or the middle of the winter, it's freezing cold in there because the whole shop is a wine cellar. And they have just everything on the shelves there is amazing. New York Vintners, also in Tribeca. Those guys are great, and we have really good relationship with them. And I love every wine on their shelves. Chambers Street is so cool because at Chambers Street they have a lot of wines that they've brought in themselves that you don't find anywhere else. A lot of very well aged wines, so I love Chambers Street. And then Crush, if you're going out of downtown. Crush is such a cool store. I think on the shelves at Crush, if there's something I don't know, I'm like, I better know what that is. And then sorry, I know it's a lot, but Italian wine merchants, which is kind of how the whole restaurants came together. I was working at Italian wine merchants when I was an undergrad, and it's right by NYU. It's on 16th Street between Union Square East and Irving, and it's an all-Italian wine store. They have one bottle of each wine on the shelves, and then everything else comes from the cellar downstairs that's accessed through a dumbwaiter. So you know that when you get a bottle, it's cellar temp, which is really important for wine. You know, I've done it, I've opened a wine bottle with my shoe successfully on several occasions. All of them had been at the end of a night going out, came back with some friends, and no one could find a corkscrew, so we opened the bottle with a shoe, had a few drinks in us, and it was not a problem. I was actually asked to be on the Rachel Ray Show, and it was a segment about like insider tips, and I thought it would be great TV if I were to open up a bottle of wine with my shoe on TV. And I had practiced a few times that morning, no problem. I practiced in the studio, not a problem at all. And then we're filming, we're live, she has the live studio audience, and I take the bottle in my shoe, like, check it out, Rachel, like the cork's coming out, and she's like, go for it, and next thing I know, I hit it on the wall, the wine goes all over the place, destroys my nice shoe that I wanted to wear to be on the show and be all fancy, and I was completely mortified. I was the color of the red wine. And she was so funny, she picked up the shoe. It's like, I guess this is how I have to drink out of it. So it doesn't always work. Thanks, this was fun. Yeah, I guess I haven't gotten too far away from NYU. All of our restaurants straddle NYU on either side, so it's been really great.